Hi, everybody out there in Foundation Land. This is Researcher Redacted, and today I'm going to be working with some makeups. And we are going to be talking about the Foundation. So, I just got these and I haven't had a chance to play with them yet. Super excited. This super shiny palette. So, let's see. I think what I'm gonna do for today's tutorial is just show you like how to do like a monster contour with a blend. So for our colors, I'm going to be pouring out some red. Would help if I got some makeup palettes so I can clean off my little spatula each time, wouldn't it? So yeah, I'm gonna do some red. I'm gonna do some orange, and I might be doing like a lighter tone just for a little bit more of a highlight. We'll see how it goes. I need a little more orange. I don't know. Okay. So basically, the origin of the Foundation, it's kind of iffy. There are more than a few ideas as to where it starts. Possible dates, we've got September 1954 all the way down to like 1875, 1824. It runs the gamut. So it's hard to get an idea as to exactly when this all started. A common thought, though, is after the Boxer Rebellion, like 11 of the main countries involved, including China, all got together along with the 1305s and formed the initial like official group. Before that, you have a couple of early starters. So you've got Her Majesty's Foundation for the Secure Containment Initiative, and then you've got the Holy Roman Emperor's Council on Unearthly Entities, and you've got the Tsar's Seers. The early groups were honestly a lot more focused on like stuff that like is more outlawed now, like working and utilizing SCPs and utilizing magical items, anomalous items for your own gain. So really, when the Boxer Rebellion happens is when the Foundation really kicks off. Let me even this out. So I'm going a bit higher right here because what I want to do is just blend it in. This is kind of rough for a first patch, you know? Definitely got a darker color there, so we need to go back over that, I think. When you're working with a contour like this, you generally want to start lighter to darker unless you're doing like a crazy color. And then it might be a good idea to just kind of block out your darker, more vibrant color. And then you can blend in with the lighter color to get where you want. You always kind of want to go easy on it though, because it's easier to add than it is to take away. You might be wondering why I am interspersing discussions with the Foundation with makeup tips. Well, between you and me, I found an anomalous device. Found, was given, tomato, tomato. And the thing of this device is, if you already know what I'm talking about, if I am going over information that the listener already has, then the listener will only hear the non-anomalous sundry conversations we have in between. So, like if, for example, the O5 Council actually heard me discussing this with people who may not need to know, all they're going to hear is some silly little makeup tips. So, this is for you. Because I firmly believe that until we all know what's really going on out there, we can't have a hand in it. We're just victims to the anomalous things that keep attacking our homes and our towns, ruining lives, upending whole civilizations, even realities. Yes, children, realities. We need to know. This couldn't possibly be more important. So that's why I'm risking everything, so that I can get this information out to you. You need to know if you're going to be able to do something about it. I kind of get jowly. Not a big fan of my jowly bits. So I'm going to kind of pull this in right here to redefine the edges of my face. And this is all just kind of playing around. This is something I haven't done before. I'm very interested to see how it goes. Very interested. So, basically, we get the Boxer Rebellion. And we get the codified formation of the Foundation by those countries that want to participate in this, and the 1305s. And if you want to, on a later video, I will be more than happy to go over in more detail who the O5s are, who's still around. The answers will shock the heck out of you. So, fun fact, the Foundation, or at least the idea of the Foundation, it even goes back to like prehistoric times. We're talking like cavemen, like Neanderthal, and there are some SCPs that we'll get to eventually that will really make a lot of disturbing sense as to the need for it. The earliest evidence that we have would be the catch, keep, and guard gathering, which that's kind of cool that they called it that. So, there you go. Some people wonder why we felt the need to form the Foundation. How was the Foundation even formed, like, in the first place? What are the details? And there are actually a couple of different, see how this is blending in here? We'll blend in better, but it's starting to work. I'm just kind of tapping in there to just kind of meld the colors a little bit. But I definitely like it. So, there are a couple of different options when we come to the history, the origination. And I mean, when I say options, we're going to get into like reality rebuilding, universe rebuilding. We're going to get into some weird shit where we have like the entire universe being rebuilt, the entire reality being rebuilt. So it's entirely possible that every single one of these origination stories is true at some point in time. You've got a path that a group walked, and the walking of that path created the SCPs that we're having to deal with to this day. You've got a factory that sacrifices must be made in order to keep humanity and our civilization on top. You've got some rather Lovecraftian bits, and maybe just because it was always there and somebody needed to do something about it. And those who knew took it upon themselves to do something. I mean, there's so many options, and we don't know everything about it. Together we're going to try, because I feel like it's important. You need to know. Got a nice little blend going here. So there's my base foundation. I think I'm going to add in, I'm going to try some yellow and see how that goes. A lot of this is just play, like I don't even know how it's going to come out. We're just experimenting. So next step that you need to know about the foundation. Like, what even is the foundation? You're asking yourself. Like, what are you even droning on about, Redacted? The foundation is an organization bent on the securing, containing, and protecting of humanity from anomalous events. So now we're going to go with this nifty yellow. I can't really see it. It's super light. It may or may not work. We'll see. So, oh, I like that. I like that. You've got these things in the universe all around you. You may not even know that they're there, but they are 100% there. It could be your coworkers. It could be things in the Mariana Trench. Not all of them want to harm you. I mean, like everything, a lot of them just want to live, or they just are, and they have a right to exist, They deserve the opportunity. And so the foundation isn't necessarily like some of the other organizations out there trying to decide who lives and who dies, and what gets destroyed and what gets to survive. They're trying to protect us from things that go bump in the night, things that could hurt people, things that could disturb humanity, disturb our existence as we know it. And sometimes they're trying to protect those things from us or from those other organizations. And we'll get into that when we eventually talk about a really nice little chair that just didn't deserve what happened to it. Again, another story for another time. So what you have are these anomalies. SCP, Secured, Contained, Protects, that's what we call them, because when you're talking about them in, documentation, it's SCP and then the number, the order it's been discovered, I think I need the bigger N for this. Really want to blot it on there. So I'm really just kind of focusing on a highlight right now with this nice yellow. As you can see, it's really popping on. I know my light's like killer. I'm still working on it. Maybe someday I'll get a better light, better setup. Right now, that's not my focus. My focus is helping all of you to understand what's out there with you. So, what the foundation is doing, and you can see how these colors are blending in. It's really nice, huh? We're going to go in and we're going to do some shading next. The foundation tries to capture these things if they can, set them up in protective facilities, control them, limit their potential for damage, for danger, classify them, and understand more about them. And in some cases, maybe even use them against other anomalous creatures and things. So, we're going to go to classifications next. I think that's a good one. So, classifications. Basically, we go from safe all the way to something called Class 53, which we will get to. this determines how we treat that anomaly and what resources we devote to it. Because, I mean, money makes the world go round. There are some anomalies. They're simply too expensive or just too prohibitive for whatever reason, for us to properly contain or effectively contain. I'm taking my little guy right here, because I'm just going to go in here, go down the line of my nose ridge right there. And that's where I'm going to be creating this faux shadow. The key is blotting. The key is always blotting. So we start out, and now keep in mind, the higher level stuff, not necessarily that way because it's evil, bad, super gonna kill you. It just be super expensive to contain. And we may just not have the technology to do so. So our first dude, it's gonna be safe class. Now the safe classification means that it's super easy to safely contain these anomalies. And for the most part, they're not dangerous. They're not out to harm anyone. They just exist. Now keep in mind, just because it's safe doesn't mean it can't kill you. You know? Like, a dog can be super safe. A dog can also bite the heck out of you. If used improperly, anything can kill you. That turned out really, really good. Right now, basically what I'm doing is I'm restructuring my big fat nose so that it's more sleek. I like this. I haven't gotten to play with this palette yet, and I'm just super loving it. It's fantastic. All right, so that's safe. Next one is Euclid. Euclids are classified for a couple of reasons. Either it's insufficiently understood, or it's inherently unpredictable, so you don't know what it's going to do necessarily. And we need more resources and containment, and the containment's not always super reliable. So for anomalies that have a higher propensity towards getting out of their containment, we classify them as Euclid. Not necessarily super dangerous or any more dangerous than the safe guys. They're just harder to keep safe and contained. It's really hard to line to a line that doesn't exist. I just want to say that. But I'm really happy with how this is turning out. I think after this, I'm going to do some TikToking. Y'all can find me at Lucy, Luci, Ferocious, like Lucifer. You know, if you get bored with this and you want to go check out something else I do. So, after that, we've got Thaumiel. Or I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. Bad me. After that, we have Keter. They are extremely difficult, not necessarily dangerous. Each is... that we lack the tech or the understanding, to really be able to successfully contain these guys. So, more often than not, Keter and Euclid tend to be autonomous, sentient, sapient, more so than the safe classified SCPs. And also, the majority of what you're going to get is going to be safe. I mean, I know those big bads are out there and they can seem scary, but really, the majority of what you're dealing with, it's not that bad. I promise. Keters can be scary. Keters can be monstrous, terrifying anomalies, world enders, really. But there are worse things out there. So next, we have the thaumials. Thaumials are interesting. And you almost are never, ever going to have an unclassified or lightly classified information on thaumials. We use thaumials to actually contain or counteract other SCPs. It's really interesting, huh? This is really turning out well. I'm really happy with this. I hope you are too. I hope you're enjoying this video. I'm gonna do a little bit under here. Yes, I am sticking that slightly in my nose so that I can get good coverage. I really want to see this solidly covered. I'm also going to line here because I want to get a faux line of my chin. Because honestly, I've kind of got a bumpy chin. I'm not super happy with it, but it exists. Whatever. And this could honestly go in a little bit right there. I'll work on it later. My nose is looking better though, isn't it? So after thaumial, we've got the Apollon, which is, it's actually, and God help me, I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that. I probably did. They're actually, the name comes from Abaddon. It's like a weird, English butchering of the word. And for those of you who don't know, Abaddon being the angel of death in Judeo-Christian beliefs. And you can't really control an Abaddon class. You gotta just sort of pray that they don't have any issues with you. They're not out to get you, that we can survive whatever they do to us. I'm gonna mix in a little bit of brown to my red here so that I can get a slightly darker color, because I want to come in and do some of these creases. So naturally, something that you have absolutely no ability to contain, much less control. Abaddon classifications are a severe and immediate threat. Another thing you're almost never going to hear about, because the admin's going to keep that on lockdown along with the O5 councils. A little bit more red. Looks kind of like chocolate. I dig it. Slightly redder. Yeah, but just a little bit darker so that I can really work with it. I'm going to grab a fresh sponge so that I don't mix my colors too much. And we're going to try very lightly on this. Ooh, man, that's nice and dark. Basically, I'm going under my chin, and I'm just lightly tapping this on so that I can get a good blend. It's going to look good. It's going to look really good. So, after Apollon, maybe that's how you pronounce it, but after that sucker, we have the neutralized. Destroyed, stable, no longer anomalous. Then we have the explained. These things, sometimes they were fake to begin with. Sometimes they were never actually anomalous. Sometimes we've been able to explain them so much as to make them mundane. You would be surprised at the things that we now use that were once just, you know what they say, any science that's beyond comprehension appears to be magic. After that is the masker. And this, I have a real heart for these suckers. These are my broken babies. We'll go over one in particular eventually that I just is all the reason in the world why our job is not to destroy these guys. It's not. This isn't what we do. This isn't what we're here for. That's those other guys. cog and the other jerks out there. We're trying to coexist. We really are. I know it may not sound that way, but I promise you, that's the goal. Coexisting is the goal. Ooh, you could cut ice on that cheek. Oof. The Broken Gods are a really excellent example of this, and another really good example of why destroying these things should never be the goal. Sometimes you get left with the mistakes of past generations. You've just got to do your best to survive. It happens. Lastly, I didn't mean to actually do that. I hate it when you itch something on your nose. Lastly is Class 53. They're proven to not be dangerous, but like nothing is still known of them. Unlike the neutralized or the explained, we just don't have any kind of understanding still, even though we know that they're not dangerous. We can't quite fathom what we're dealing with. A good example on that if you guys are ever interested, I would be more than happy, my hair is, go away hair, to go into in further detail. That would be Scantron's proposal, SCP-001. I'm gonna find, there are like a lot of SCP-001s. It's almost a thing. So that, now you know. That's how we classify the skips. If you want to act like a cool kid in the know, that's what you call them. You call them skips. SCPs. I gotta say, I'm really liking how this is turning out. Alright, so we've gone over what the Foundation is. We've gone over what the skips are, generally. I could talk forever about that and never make any forward momentum. Let's talk about the people who make up the Foundation. All right? So, we have a couple different classifications for those who work within the Foundation. We start at A. This is essential staff, normally to the strategic operations of the Foundation. What I'm doing here is creating a faux shadow to make my lips look thicker and plumper and such, with just the remnants of that brown red I had, because I don't want it to be too dark and I want to blend it really easily into this yellow. I think I'm going to go back in with it's always good to keep your dudes around, like whatever color you've got, keeps them on the sponge, because then you can go back in and blend it a little more thoroughly. So, these guys, these essential dudes in the A classification, they don't get any SCP contact whatsoever. They are that important to the strategic functioning of the Foundation. We got to keep those suckers safe. Then we come to the B class, essential local ops. So they are only allowed to interact with SCPs that are have passed quarantine, are successfully 100% contained, super boring. We know exactly what we're doing. No risk of damage, because they're still like the local guys. They're really important. Like I know like the field ops and the admin, they seem like super cool and crap. But the fact of the matter is, if you don't have anyone to do waste disposal, basic, maintenance, or just like somebody to cook, that Foundation site is just, it's rolling to a halt with a quickness. So it's important. Fix that there. I'm coming really high up here because I don't want to have any shadow under my eye. That gives you bags. No one likes bags. So, now we have C-Class, direct access to most anomalies. Just not the strictly hostile or dangerous ones. So the ones that we more easily can control and maintain. After that, we get D class. And there's a lot I could say. In fact, I could make an entire video on D class alone. Let me tell you. But to be really like just short and blunt, I guess, about all of this. D class, they're prisoners. They almost always are people who are in death row. Really bad guys, bad people who've done horrible things, who are already sentenced to die. I've made a nice line under my lip, and I'm just lightly pulling it down, just kind of blend out the bottom half of the line. I want to keep the top half really crisp, but I want to blend that bottom half nicely. These are the people who, how do I put this bluntly without sounding like an asshole? Any test that's done on an SCP, almost always we use a D class. It's dangerous. They die a lot. If they don't die, they often wish they had. It's not part of the job I really like. And there's a lot of weirdness around what happens to the D class at the end of the month. Some people say they just get amnestics and go on to another facility. And there's even some rumor they get sacrificed and killed. End of the month. Whoever's around, boom. It's not good. It's really not, but there's not a lot someone like me can really do about it. You know. Next is E-Class. E-Class are usually going to be people that have been infected or have had some kind of encounter with an anomalous thing of any sort, anomalous activity. And then what we try to do is we quarantine them. We try to ensure that they are no longer under the effects of whatever anomalous thing took them. But again, I've heard rumors of the E-Class being used as like a punishment. So, I mean, there's a lot. There's just a lot. Ooh, look at my lips. Next, we go to the levels. This is kind of quick. I won't spend too much time on it. Level 0, you're going to be staffed with no clue that SCP even exists. Level 1, you get to know about SCPs. You're allowed to join a department or a division that handles SCPs, but you're pretty much strictly stuck to whatever that department is. I'm pretty happy with where we're at. I think I want to do a little bit more with my eyes. I think we're going to do some more with the eyes. Basically going from level 1 to level 2 to level 3, you get more and more access and authority and control over where you go and what you work with. And 3 is actually the last level that you can apply to work for. After 3, we get into the heavy territory. We got 4. You've got to prove yourself to the admin for them to trust you. This is a rare opportunity. It does not happen to everyone. It doesn't happen to many people, honestly. After that, we've got level 5, which is just it's almost impossible for you to get to level 5, really. That's something that very few people have made it to, and those who have made it there, they're honestly quite terrifying. Like, I'm not even kidding you. After level 5, we get to the site director. It's the boss, got the Omni card, can do pretty much whatever he wants, has to do whatever is needed, so it's not an enviable position, let me tell you. After that, we get the O5 Council, which I know I kind of briefly spoke on before, but these are, yeah, no, it's the same council for the most part since the 1900s. And I know exactly how that sounds, but you've got to believe me on this, okay? Shit is weird here. Basically, there's 13. There's a lot to know about them. I could do a whole video on them, and I might if you guys want me to. Then you've got the O5 head, as the most powerful of the O5s. And then you've got the administrator, which is just like, you know, pant-wettingly terrifying if that sucker happens to come in on your shift. Like, I've never seen the admin. I'm gonna do a little bit of white right here. I hope I never see the admin. This is the dude who controls all of the Foundation. All of it. And it might as well have been the same guy. I mean, it's not unheard of for people for various reasons to live just forever. Like, it's weird. I know this sounds just beyond bizarre, but you've got to trust me here. What I'm telling you, it's your own safety. I promise you. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to go down this journey alone, but you will be safe. All right. That's about all I have time for today. This nose is just like, boom, nose. It looks a little better in better lighting. Like I said, I'm mostly just trying out new things. It isn't like I know what I'm doing in more ways than one. But I enjoyed this. I hope you guys did too. I'll see you next time. This is Researcher Redacted, signing off.